What's your viewpoint on interracial dating? Have you done it? Or do you feel like some that believe that people should stick with their own race? So in episode 204, Making the Case, we're talking about it. Why is there still taboo around interracial dating? Let's get honest. Hey, what's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another episode of Making the Case. Episode 204, man, we're glad to have you. I'm your host, Dr. Jacob Isom. We got two channel norms over here. One, we attack points in our people, and then two, we don't do all that cussing and fussing and derogatory stuff. We like to keep it professional over here, all right? I have another great topic for you. We're talking about interracial dating, okay? This should be a very interesting conversation. I have just one. Um, it's not a short. Um, it's not a too long clip. It's only like less than 5 minutes. So, of course, we're gonna be stopping and pausing it throughout to, have a conversation, right? Because interracial dating has been a topic that has forever created controversy, has forever created conversation about race, about belonging, about what people should do, about individualism versus collectivism. Because some people will make the argument you stick within your own race because you try to build and keep the money within the community. Now, that's more of a perspective of black people, I would say. I don't think other cultures really think about it that way because whether it's black, white, or what have you, what people have to understand is that most people stick with their own race. Now, you could say people have been programmed to do that. You could say it's cultural. But what we know is that, of course, most of the time people stick with their own race because it is cultural, right? It's you stick with what you're comfortable with. Most people are raised around people that look like them, right? So it makes a lot of sense for not just a social standpoint, from a biological standpoint, whatever standpoint you want to look at it from. So this is nothing new, right? This conversation is nothing new. We're going to continue to talk about this. My only grief, or let's say argument to the conversation, is that um, I don't believe that people should be shunned or people should be talked about and saying that they hate themselves because they choose to date someone that's not the same skin complexion. To me, it's a silly conversation to have, right? If you want to use the argument of, race loyalty and this, that, and the third, I think it's fair, right? But to say someone hates themselves because they're dating outside their race, I think it's foolishness, in my opinion. Because are we gonna get to the facts, or are we going to be in our feelings and talk about people that we don't know about, and just because we have our own biases? So it's an interesting conversation to have. I'm willing to have it. I'm always willing to have tough conversations because I do believe they need to be had, whether that's dating or any other thing, right? So we're always gonna have a conversation on this here channel right here. Okay. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into the clip I have for you. All right, let's do it.
Your race.
Into I don't know what direction she about to go, but my problem a lot of time with these conversations. Now, I want to show this video for a reason because, of course, as you can see, is mainly a black female audience, right? So the conversation is going to look a little bit different, right? And they have pretty much all black female panelists, right? So once again, the conversation is going to look going to be different, right? So you get to see the way, because when she mentioned, dating interracially, notice the crowd clap. Now, I don't know if they're going to get to talking about black men dating interracially, but notice how the conversation always shift and change once we start talking about black men dating outside their race. The tone and the tenor changes, right? Which, of course, lets you know that, you know, it's not objective, right? It's very subjective, right? Because women typically get a pass when it comes to things. Women and children, right? They get a pass. They don't get held as accountable as men do. So I just want to put that out there. Okay, let's continue the conversation. That's one thing that we have to be honest. Once again, this is typical why I don't like these conversations. We have to be honest. Why are you going to expect somebody from outside your culture, outside your race, to be a part of the liberation movement? Does that make sense? There's people that share the same skin color that are not part of the liberation movement. So that thinking right there is faulty, right? Now, granted, if he had prejudice and was discriminatory and things of that nature, understandable, right? Because I think people need, once again, they say educated, right? So I think people need to be immersed into different cultures to understand people so they won't have these prejudice and these biases, right? But to expect somebody to be like, yeah, hey, I'm with you because you black and black power, just not realistic, right? So clearly you didn't pick a person, you didn't vet properly, right? And you was with this person for 8 years. I think that says more about you though, to be fair and to be honest, right? He may have been a racist scumbag, but did you love yourself? Right? And were you for the culture that you say you for? I mean, these are questions that we just gotta ask ourselves. Okay. Let's continue. I'm kind of glad that they ended off on that because that is the argument, which I think is a fair argument for staying within your race. Right. When it comes, particularly when it comes to black people, right? And of course, I use that term loosely because anyway, we won't go into that. Um, Melanated people, African American, American, African, Black, African, whatever you want to call it, they understand each other's culture. They understand the trauma, the cultural trauma that comes from that. And so a lot of times it's the same music. They speak Ebonics, right? The list goes on, right? And that's typically why people stay within their own race because they understand the subtle things as well as the thing that other people may understand that's outside the culture, right? That is the fair argument. But once you start talking, and they didn't really get into it in this clip, once you start talking about self hatred and this, that, and the third, right? Those points are mute to me. But when you talking about, hey, this person can understand me and what I have going on and support me better, right? That is the fair, objective argument. But the conversation still need to be had about why can't people still be able to date and love and marry and be with whoever they're gonna be with? Because if we're being honest, that's what people gonna do anyway, right? It don't matter what law get created on the books. Guess what? People gonna do whatever they want to, and they gonna get the consequences for it if they break a law. I mean, people used to get hung and disowned from their family because they dated outside of their race. And guess what? People are still doing it. People are still getting shunned, right? And people are still dating outside their race. Nothing is going to change. All right. But we have to ask ourselves the question, is it fair? And what are the reasons behind why people may feel more comfortable with somebody outside their race? We know why they're gonna feel comfortable with someone inside their race and their culture, but why might they feel more comfortable with somebody outside their race? Those are the conversations that we got to continue happening. It's just not gonna happen on this video. All right. But hey, we could definitely have a part two. Definitely let me know in the comments, man, if you want to extend this conversation further. I mean, regardless, we're gonna have to have it. So, you know, but let me know what you think about the topic, about the video. Please like, share the video. Let's continue to have the conversation. All right. But y'all know I appreciate y'all, man. But as always, I'm you, you and me. Love always, love eternal. Remember, the worst thing you can do is lie to yourself, and we out. Deuces. One love.